Josh just had his first call with me. And if I can can I give a little bit of a backstory?
You go right ahead.
Josh came here because his wife did the Intimacy Accelerator like last year when their relationship was at like, and Josh was where he was at, but she did the work, and those 6 weeks, there was a shift in their dynamic. And so fast forward at a year, 8 months later, Josh shows up at one of the webinars and is like, okay, maybe I got to do this. And now he's jumped in and has just completely radically shifted because there was an infidelity that happened, and he hasn't been able to get over it. It was her. And so did you want to share what you just discovered about the dynamic of your relationship based on that story?
We've been married 25 years, and there was an infidelity back in December of 2020, and it was crushing. It was degrading, and it left me so feeling so insignificant and stupid and gullible. And I had the call with you, right?
Yeah. And what did you have playing in the background when you guys got married? Because you got to have some context. You came from a kind of like a strict Mormon background where sex before marriage was, you know, I could relate to that. You want to talk about that and then see what happened?
Yeah, I was raised a Mormon. I kept all the rules, and with my own disdain for self-righteous people, I understand that self-righteousness was something that I valued and that I used. And so I stayed pure. You know, I didn't have sex with anybody. You're not supposed to do that until you get married in the temple, in one of the Mormon temples. I went on a 2-year mission to Brazil, and I met this guy named Paul, and he showed me a picture of his family, and there was Jennifer with her short platinum blonde hair and her collared necklace and the cuff in her earlobe, and I'm like, who is that? That's not pure. I was immediately attracted to her, and I took a bunch of Brazilian stuff back to her family, and I met her family, and they said, please come back when our daughter's here. And I'm like, this is too easy. But
all right.
She was dating a Methodist guy at the time, so her parents were all too happy to have a Mormon missionary come back. But we dated for about 11 months before we were married, and 3 nights before we were supposed to be married for all time and eternity in the Mormon temple, her boyfriend's best friend, her ex-boyfriend's best friend, came over to the house and almost laughed at us, saying, you guys are ridiculous. And he dumps this grocery bag full of notes that Jennifer had written to him in high school. And it was very apparent reading the first 3 of them that she was not a virgin like she had said she was, because she had played the part
right
up until then, and she was willing to keep it a secret. And in that moment, what had happened was I saw an opportunity to keep her under my thumb, which wasn't conscious at the moment, but that's what happened.
In other words, you used the guilt of that experience to do what? Unconsciously.
I was the self-righteous one at that point. I was superior. And in that superiority,
what could you guarantee?
I could guarantee that she wasn't going to abandon me like I had been abandoned my entire life. Now you can imagine being married to somebody who, you know, it wasn't a date. I didn't remind her daily, but there were certainly some instances that came up where it was mentioned and we talked about it, and I used it.
Used it for what?
To be able to do whatever I wanted. To
diminish her.
Because if she was diminished, then I remained the one
Not
in the
the
spotlight,
underdog.
the important one.
Not the underdog. Yeah. Wow.
So
just huge moment of like acknowledgement for your courage and owning and vulnerability. How many guys are getting something like over this level of, this is how healing happens? Beautiful. Go ahead, brother.
I can't blame her anymore for what she did when she had an opportunity where there was someone who saw her and was interested in her and loved her for who she is, and how refreshing, and
to not feel diminished around someone.
To not feel diminished anymore. So now I get to look back on it with an understanding eye, and with no more judgment.
Wow.
And it was so, 20 years of therapy. Thank you. What did that take? 30 minutes, Dr. Nima? That was beautiful.
21, but I wasn't counting.
Oh yeah.
I'm not, you know me, I don't like to toot my own horn. But it was you. It was the fact that you were so willing to go there and tell the truth. And, it's just amazing. That's why not everybody's ready for this level of truth. Can you guys see how confronting this kind of thing can be to somebody when you acknowledge the shadow parts? Is this bringing up anybody's emotions as they're listening to Josh kind of say it? Because you've been on one side of the fence or the other. Everybody can relate to it in some way, right? Huge. What's your biggest takeaway from kind of that embodied? And what I wanted to share was that when Josh, when I was taking him through, he was doing everything he could to just stay in story. My job was to just keep bringing him back into his body, to feel that insignificance and betrayal. That he's been telling that story for 25 years and is like, he's imprisoned by the story of she betrayed me. But what's the big thing you discovered? Because you had this fear of abandonment. What's the big thing that you discovered about the fact that she's still with you despite all that? What did that tell you?
No one loves me like she loves me. She's head over heels in love with me. I am with her as well, but oh my God, it's hard for me to encapsulate everything that happened there.
Can you do something for a moment here?
Yeah.
Can you receive that love right now? I want you to close your eyes and receive that love over 25 years, how she stayed with you, even though she felt diminished and was leading with guilt and shame. And you unconsciously, through no fault of your own, but just because of your own insecurities, were using that to keep her chained to you. And she's still with you. Can you receive the love?
Yeah.
Beautiful. That's the work. And when you do that, there's nothing more to do. What do I do now? Nothing. You just go and you do a hug. You just hold space. You look in that person's eyes and you say, thank you. For what? I get it. I'm so sorry I've held this over you for so long and been judging you, and you found somebody that made you feel something that I wasn't. It's not my fault. It's not your fault. I'm done with that story. I'm done.
It will never be told the same way again, man. Never. That's amazing.
But here's the key, guys. The story needs to change. The script needs to change inside the body. And we do that by joining with the younger self. What is up? If you are finally ready to learn how to take all of these concepts that I share in my content, in my podcasts, in my YouTube videos, my Facebook Lives, and learn how to integrate them and implement them through a series of neural exercises that teach you how to rewire your relationship with trauma, sex, and money, the things that are most argued about in relationship dynamics, you will absolutely love my upcoming 3-day intensive. Click that link below. It's coming up very soon. It is ideal for people who are nerds for neuroscience and want to rewire this conditioning of undeserving, of prosperity, abundance, and healthy sexuality. If we don't get to the conditioning, these unresolved faulty mechanisms play out in relational dynamics, creating insecure attachments, and unconsciously we are pushing prosperity and healthy sexuality away because of this mechanism of undeserving. If you want to learn how to shift it from an embodied perspective, follow the link below, and we'll see you at our next Rewire event coming really soon.